Hello everybody, and welcome to Wounded Healer Tarot. My name is James, and I'll be doing your reading today. Now, if you've seen the collective reading that I just did prior to this one, I think I mentioned that I was gonna do the readings in order of like the signs that had the most engagement. But then I thought about that and how sort of unfair that is because the Pisces video hasn't even come out yet, so obviously Pisces would be last still, regardless. So I just decided that I'm just going to do them in chronological zodiac order. That would probably be the most fair. Alright, so we're going to take a look here. Oh, and before I fail to mention, this video is for the sign of Aries. Now I'm going to take a look at the current energies that are influencing you. And now this card flipped out while shuffling. I'm not going to take it for the actual spread, but this is like a little side message from the universe here. Now this card is the Two of Thread Twine, representing agreement, symbiosis, and compromise. Which is rather interesting because this is the card that was on the bottom of the deck for the collective reading that I did right before this. So if you haven't seen the collective reading, I would check that out after you're done here because there may be some message in there for you, or many messages regardless. But with this, right, if it's anything like the collective read, I feel like this has to do with a situation where you may have made some sort of promise, right? You may have made some sort of a commitment before you had the before you were able to see the reality of the situation, essentially. And the vibe that I got from that, right? For example, it could have something to do with maybe like a living situation, right? Where you agree to like maybe go back and live with family, and the person that you speak to about it, they tell you that it's like, you won't have to like be waiting on people, like you won't be like putting all your time into other people, and you would like maybe like have your own space. There would be like something to sort of like influence you, essentially, to say yes, right? They're going to try to, or not try to, they rather did use things to sweeten the deal, make it more appealing to you. And so based off of those things, right, you may have made that decision to, go back to wherever, and over time, right, whether it's like a couple of weeks, a couple of months, maybe even a year or more, you realize that everything you were promised in the beginning was essentially a lie. And everything is sort of going the complete opposite of that, right? Whereas, you may have gotten the things that they, sweeten the deal with, but at the end of the day, are those things worth what you have to put up with and do and sacrifice? Like, for example, like, you could end up having, like, the weight of the house put on you, right? Where you would have to do everything from, like, cooking, cleaning, taking care of animals, and having to do things that essentially everybody else doesn't want to do, which is a lot, if not pretty much everything. And so now you have the whole weight of that house on you, which at the end of the day isn't even, like, you have all these responsibilities that aren't even your own. And that's going to weigh on you. That's going to keep you from having the energy to put the time and effort into the things that you would like to do for yourself. And that will start to, create this, not create this, but it becomes, you start to realize that it always was a sort of like toxic environment. And you start to realize, right, that, this may not be what you want. It seemed like a great opportunity at first, but now that you're like knee deep, neck deep in it, you're realizing this was the complete opposite, essentially, of what you were told it would be in the beginning. And so you may be, really, I guess, like disappointed in a sense, because now you're overwhelmed, right? It could even put you in a place to become depressed, to become, complacent, and, feel like, this is it for you, like this is what your life is going to be. Um, and so you really just don't want to do much. You don't see the point, right, in doing a lot of things. And with that, right, this Seven of Ink card also flipped out, representing illumination, accomplishment, realization, and pride. Just as I was saying, you're starting to realize that this situation is not what it was made out to be. This is, in fact, not something that you want. And it's blocking you from, being able to accomplish the things that you would like to accomplish. And then another card flipped out with that, the Festival, representing celebration, fun, material goods. So, I sort of get the vibe that, like, you may go to, like, local events, or, whether they're local or not doesn't really matter. But, you may, go to, like, carnivals, festivals, events of any kind, really, that, like, sort of create, like, this, like, it's like that's what you do for fun at this point, to get out and just, maybe do a little something for you. A part of that was material goods, so, like, you could go out to these events and, that's what you spend your money on. That's what you get, a little something here and there for yourself. And then what just flipped out again was not again, but what just flipped out is the Ace of Thread, Fiber, representing wandering, warmth, and gentleness. I feel like that's something, like warmth and gentleness is something that you crave, and, like, wandering is really speaking to, trying to find that somewhere within someone. Alright, let's see. 1, 2, 3. Alright. 1, 2, 3. Wow, and another card from the last reading also just came out. Alright, but again, at the bottom of the deck we have the Festival, celebration, fun, material goods. Now, I'm not gonna repeat what I just said, but that's essentially, like, this is the universe saying, that's like confirmation. Essentially, maybe that if that's not something you do, maybe that's something you need to start doing to sort of, like, find that light somewhere to sort of, like, reignite maybe a passion or something. Alright, now this card also already came out before, but this is in the actual spread, so I'm going to read from the book. For this we have the Seven of Ink, illumination, representing accomplishment, realization, and pride. Alright, this may take a second because there is no glossary that tells you what page has what. I'm going to have to take the time at some point and just write all this down so I know, and then I'm going to also have to number the pages. Alright, the Seven of Ink, illumination. Awakened, it represents accomplishment, realization, and pride. The shadow represents ignorance, puzzlement, humility. The description of the card reads, the Seven of Ink is the card of illumination, referring less to the presence of light and more to illuminated manuscripts, bringing to mind a beautiful, complete work of art that is most beautiful when taken as a whole. Illumination brings big realizations to the forefront, makes things clear, and gives us something to be proud of. With this card in its awakened state, you've accomplished your goals and can see just how far you've come, how hard you worked to make that happen. There's an element of reflection, of gazing back at past versions of ourselves and taking pride in who we've become. We can see what it was. Oh, we can see what it was all for in the end. Had like a brain fart. This card encourages you to be confident in all you've done. In Shadow, we haven't quite reached the end yet. We may be missing key pieces that will help us see the bigger picture. Things may feel puzzling or confusing. We don't know how to gauge our progress, and so it's hard to judge ourselves without that information. Or we may have the information, but judge ourselves too highly or too harshly. Humility may be called for with the Shadow, 7 of Ink, asking us to tone down excess pride and take a step back. Questions to ask. Have I come to any big new understandings lately? Have I realized something important? Can I see the bigger picture of the story/situation now? What is the bigger picture? What have I accomplished? Can I take pride in how far I've come? What am I proud of? Am I missing a piece of the puzzle that will help me understand things? Is the bigger picture unclear or fuzzy? Have I been too prideful/would humility help me now? Alright, so yeah, I get the vibe that, this could really resonate on a more personal level on either side. For any of you, that depends on, your situation in particular. But let's see. Next up, we have the 3 of Thread, knots, representing promises, bonds, and remembrance. This is a card that was also in the collective reading. So I would definitely, suggest that you go take a look-see at that collective reading after you finish up here, if this all resonates, and maybe that will, help this resonate even a little bit more. Alright, so in the awakened state, the 3 of Thread represents promises, bonds, and remembrance. The Shadow represents obligation, bondage, and dwelling. The 3 of Thread is the knot card, when we take 2 or more threads and bind them together in a way that will hold fast. As with knots, there are a variety of promises we can make with others of many different strengths. The knot symbolizes how we tie ourselves together when we take an oath to do something, say something, act a certain way in our relationships with ourselves or things and people outside of ourselves. It also stands for the bonds of memory and experience that bring us closer and keep us close to the people we experience them with. Powerful memories can brighten your day or strengthen your relationships when recalled. In Shadow, the knot keeps us tied down where we don't want to be. Our freely made promises become obligations, our bonds become bondage, and we begin to feel trapped. Whether the commitment was made in error in the first place or the situation has changed, it no longer serves us well. It may need to be readjusted or broken. Sub-obligations are crafted by societal expectations or by people in our lives who have something to gain from us without our consent. A promise is consent, and consent can always be withdrawn. Alternately, this card can also represent dwelling on the past in ways that aren't healthy for us. Questions to ask. What promises have I made, or have others made to me? What bonds exist between me and the people, places, things in my story? How do these bonds affect our relationship? What are my strongest memories of? What am I drawn to remembering right now? Do I feel obligated to a promise/commitment I no longer feel is right? Do I feel trapped by the bonds between me and others? Have I been dwelling on the past instead of living in the present? Those are some very valid questions. But yeah, I get the vibe, again, whether this resonates in the awakened or shadow phase, it is more dependent upon your particular situation. But I feel like there's definitely an emphasis on connections here, on commitments, promises, who people are to you. And with the festival card at the bottom of the deck, like, I feel like you're really being asked to, like, go out and do things that, are fun to you. That will sort of, in a sense, here help you to really connect with yourself and really, try to understand the situation, or rather, it'll make it easier for you to see the situation with maybe like a fresh pair of eyes. Because I get the vibe of like, this environment that you're in possibly being toxic and causing you to really like fall into a depression, be overcome by anxiety because of the weight put upon you. You could be, taking on other people's responsibilities, essentially, like all these problems, all these things, like they aren't even really yours, it's your environment. So I feel like, getting out of that environment, going out and doing something that you consider fun, that will help to sort of like take the blinders off, and it'll make it easier for you to see the situation, things, people around you, for what they actually are, if that makes sense. Alright, now I'm gonna take a look at what you need to know, Aries. What does Aries need to know at this time? Alright, 1, 2, 3. Let's see what we got here. Ooh. First card out, Queen of Swords. A lot of these cards were, well, not a lot so far. All 3 of these cards were in the collective reading done previous to this. Anxiety I was talking about, yep, there's some shit that's gonna happen to shake this shit up, but thankfully after that happens, it looks like there's gonna be some rest. Oof. There's a lot at the bottom of this deck here. Alright, let's see. I don't know if I should take it all because this video is probably going to be pretty long. But again, a lot of these cards were in that last reading. Now, I definitely get that, like, you're the feminine energy in this situation. Alright. So at the bottom of the deck here, we have the Ace of Swords, the 7 of Swords, and the King of Cups. So I definitely get the vibe that there is somebody romantically who you were either, I feel like you were previously involved with this person, whether you were in an actual relationship commitment or not. They were very, they moved very sus, right? Here with this Ace of Swords, like, I get that they're definitely holding back. Whoops, that's not the Ace of Swords. I get with this Ace of Swords that they're holding back with some sort of truth. There's something rather important they were not telling you. And with this 7 of Swords, I feel like, they were being very strategic about what they were doing. Because with that King of Cups, they're definitely holding back feelings, right? And, that 7 of Swords could speak to, like, lying, stealing, cheating, but I feel like there, that's really speaking to them, like, being strategic about the way in which they went about hiding this stuff from you, right? Because the King of Cups represents, you know, somebody who isn't very, like, expressive of their feelings, and they're usually, you know, holding things back. Now, next up here we have the Two of Cups. Then we have the Queen of Cups. And the High Priestess. Now, with this Two of Cups to the Queen of Cups and the High Priestess, like, all this together, like, I get the vibe that you know, essentially, or you knew, like, your intuition was giving you that little nudge. And let me point out, we had the King of Cups, and here we have the Queen of Cups, and then with that Two of Cups, like, I feel like you know that, like, this is one of your soulmates, right? This is somebody that, you know, you were meant to be with no matter how this ends up. And, you know, I feel like with the Two of Cups is, like, your recognition of that deep soul connection, right? And then that Queen of Cups is you essentially, you know, handling this situation with a particular level of emotional maturity, right? Because I feel like, you know, there's definitely, you know, the opportunity to go off on this person, maybe even tell them about themselves, right? But I get that you did not do that. That's something that maybe the old you would have done, but I feel like you're at the point in your life where you're emotionally mature enough that you can handle things like this. You can handle, you know, conflict, heartbreak in a more mature way. Whereas you're not holding back your feelings, but you're also not being, like, super harsh about them. And, like, you know, I feel like from the beginning, right, you knew that this individual was, like, or is rather, like, one of your soulmates. Now, lastly, we have the Page of Cups. And then we have the 10 of Cups. Is that focused? Well, if it wasn't... Ooh. Apparently I can't even hold cards right now. And then lastly here we have the Lovers. So, you know, that Page of Cups there tells me that this individual is going to be coming in with an apology. And they're going to be expressing to you, you know, that they, with this Ten of Cups, you know, they see themselves, you know, having it all with you, essentially, in the future, right? They want to have a family with you. They want to have, you know, a home together. Like, there will be, like, you know, the pets, the family, the kids, you know, the life. And with the Lovers, that's essentially them giving you that, like, recognition of, like, they know that you guys are soulmates. They know that you guys are meant for each other. And, you know, this is essentially something that they do genuinely want. It's just taken them, you know, some time to realize it. And, you know, this could involve them, you know, getting into, like, maybe they got into another relationship after you guys broke up. And, I mean, honestly, with that Seven of Swords, it's possible that they could have already been seeing somebody before you guys even broke up, and that's a part of why they broke up with you, because maybe they felt like the grass was greener over there, right? But very rarely is it, ever. You know, a lot more times than not, the kind of people who do that are the ones, or rather have that sort of, like, perception of things when it comes to relationships. They'll usually see everything external to them as the grass being greener because they either have difficulty with or are not capable of, you know, watering their own grass. And that's why things external will always look like they're a better option than what they currently have. They didn't give it Like, I get the vibe that they did not give this enough time to grow. And, you know, sorry about that. My battery suddenly died. I got a little intense and wasn't exactly monitoring like I should have been. But, anyways, like I was saying, you know, I think this person is starting to realize that, like, they're starting to realize your connection that you guys have. That's why with the Page of Cups here, they're coming in with that apology. And I feel like, you know, they're going to be wanting to make things right, talk things through, see if you guys can maybe, you know, start over, essentially, with a clean slate. Now, also, the vibe I get with, like, this Queen of Cups and the High Priestess, like, because the Queen of Cups, an aspect of the Queen of Cups that a lot of people don't really talk about, don't really mention, is that, you know, she herself is very intuitive. She's very connected. And with the two of these, I feel like your intuition, like, is strong in general, but also when it comes to this situation, because, you know, I feel like you do genuinely have that, like, soul type connection with this individual, so you're gonna feel their energy whether they want you to or not, whether you want to feel it or not. That's just how it's gonna go here. Like, you guys are connected spiritually, but also, you know, in the 3D, maybe not, like, you guys may not have been connecting in the 3D for a while. There could have been quite a lengthy separation, honestly. But, you know, again, with this Queen of Cups and the High Priestess, I get that you know that this person is gonna, like, you knew that this person was gonna be back and they're gonna come, you know, in with an apology. It's just a matter of, you know, whether you actually believe what they're saying or not, whether, you know, they're being genuine. Because, you know, apologies are fine and dandy. You know, it's great to get an apology, but if it's just in the form of words and, you know, it's not in the action, it's not genuine. It's not something you want. But anyways, now getting into the actual spread here. Excuse me. We have the Queen of Swords. And then we have the Eight of Swords. And the Six of Wands. Now, I feel like this Queen of Swords, right? I feel like that is how this individual views you at this time. And with the Eight of Swords, I feel like that's sort of what's got them, like, standing in their own way, essentially. Because, like, everything that's happening to them right now is kind of on them, right? Not even kind of, it's actually, it's very much so on them. Because they're holding themselves back. They're standing in their own way. Because with this Queen of Swords, I get that they're afraid to come towards you because you may have been a bit harsh. The last time you guys spoke, you really, you know, said what was on your mind, and you may have even cut them off. So, you know, for them to come back from that, you know, they really have to have the courage to come towards you with whatever it is they have to say. And I feel like, you know, at the same time, you know, you will be getting illumination on, like, what happened, because I also get the vibe that, you know, you had to really guess or, like, use your intuition to figure out what the actual situation was. I feel like they weren't honest when they left. They just gave you some bullshit because they were afraid, essentially, of losing you. If they were to be honest about what actually was going on, what they actually did behind your back. And I feel like that's also a part of why they've been afraid to come forward and why they've taken this long, essentially, to come forward and be honest with you about everything. But, you know, again, they are going to come forward because with that Six of Wands, they know that you can have something successful. Like, I feel like they've been in a time of, like, reflection here as well with that Eight of Swords. Like, they've really been, like, looking back on, like, not only this situation, but past situations as well, how they've handled things, how they handle, like, relationships in general, other people, connections. And I feel like there's definitely, like, an emphasis on how they communicate. Like, they could be a very prideful person, honestly. And that can also be a part of, like, what's taking them so long to come forward, and why it's so hard for them to really, like, why them looking at themselves, taking this time to really evaluate, you know, their actions, their words, the way they handle things, is a bit more difficult for them, because I feel like they could be a very prideful individual. Now, next up here, we have the Six of Pentacles. And then we have the Four of Pentacles. Ooh, come on, let's focus. And then we have the Seven of Pentacles. So with that, you know, I definitely feel like they're going to come back trying to, like, they may come back with some gifts here with the Six of Pentacles, because the Six of Pentacles is, like, equal give and take, essentially. Like, they are going to come back with an apology, but along with that apology, there could be a gift or, like, multiple gifts. They could be feeling like they need to be, like, extra generous to make up for breaking your heart and putting you through what they put you through. But with that Four of Pentacles to the Seven of Pentacles, I get that they've been holding on to you. Like, this entire time, they've been holding on to you in your situation, and, you know, the Seven of Pentacles gives me the vibe of, like, you know, they've really been, like, as I said before, taking a look at themselves, how they've acted, both, like, verbally and the actual actions that they took when it came to people, relationships, stuff like that. I feel like, you know, they're also evaluating their life in general, you know, because they want to make room for you in it. And that could have to do with, you know, getting rid of toxic people, you know, forming healthier habits. Like, say, like, they were a drinker, they could, like, quit drinking, and if, like, they were pretty bad with drinking, they could be going to, they could be getting help in the form of, like, going to things like AA or any programs like that. And, you know, they're overall just trying to create a healthier environment that will, you know, encourage them to move forward with you, that, you know, it's going to help them to make space for you, somebody who's very healthy for them, somebody who's very influential upon them. Because I also get, you know, with the Six of Wands, you know, they realize what you bring to the table here. They realize how much it is you have to offer, which is something they may not have realized before. That may have been something that they overlooked for whatever reason. I mean, honestly, with the Six of Wands and the Six of Pentacles, I get the vibe that they could even be giving you, like, some sort of recognition. There may be some sort of, like, celebration during which they recognize you. But next up here we have the Nine of Swords. Then we have the Tower. Bada bing, bada boom. That change, baby. That shit they need to realize everything is hitting them now. Everything is going to hit them. And that's when they're going to decide that they cannot keep going the way that they've been going. They cannot keep doing what they've been doing if they want you in their life in any capacity. And then lastly, we have the Four of Swords. So, that Knight of Swords is, I see that there's literally swords and pentacles out here with the exception of that Six of Wands. This person has been very much so in their head, and they could also, have been working on their money, building some financial stability, something promising to bring towards you. But with that Knight of Swords to the Tower and the Four of Swords, this this Nine of Swords and the Ten of Swords. Wow, my brain is all over the place. My words aren't working. So this Nine of Swords to the Tower, right? They've been as they here with this Seven of Pentacles, are working on making room for you in their life. They have a lot of anxiety, right? Because I feel like the Seven of Pentacles, the Nine of Swords, and the Tower, that's one whole situation right there where, this is going to happen. They're going to encounter this Tower moment as they're working on making room for you in their life, because with this Nine of Swords, I feel like, thoughts of you have literally just taken over them entirely. They have a lot of sleepless nights. They have difficulty focusing on anything but you, which could also affect, their financial stability here, which is why, I definitely get that vibe that is, you could even be, distracting them from their work, which is something that they tried to, throw themselves into to distract them from the situation with you. And, with that Four of Pentacles, I feel like they literally feel like they cannot get away from you. Even though you aren't even physically actually there. You, have not seen each other anywhere, you've not ran into each other, you haven't been in the same circles, same places at the same time. You haven't seen each other since this all ended. But still, it's they see you everywhere, they hope to see you everywhere, they look for you when they're out in a crowd. This is very intense. They really, it's this separation has made them feel this connection to you even more. But yeah, it's with all this anxiety, those sleepless nights, that inability to really focus on anything but you, because the Nine of Swords, they're worried. They're worried that they've lost you. They're definitely worried that they could lose you to somebody else for good. And I feel like that's, in a sense, also what's sort of prompting them to, with this Four of Swords, go into this healing state, or rather phase, where, this Tower moment, is that realization, right, that they could very well lose you because of their own actions, because, of their own choices. And I feel like a part of those choices was the fact that they let other people influence their decisions, influence their thoughts and actions. So, the things that they did, the things that they said may not have even been their own. That could have been things that other people told them to say, told them to do, because of these other people's views and perceptions on love and relationships and what they should be. And this person wasn't acting out of a place of, they weren't acting out of their heart space. They weren't acting out of what they genuinely felt, because if they did, I feel like they would have done the complete opposite. I feel like this wouldn't have even happened. But I feel like they were also so heavily influenced by the people around them that they just couldn't see past what these other people thought was right, rather. And I feel like, there's so much, this Tower moment is everything they thought was real and true crumbling around them, having that realization that these people around them are fake. Their living situation is, they've been maybe getting taken advantage of, especially financially. They could be putting all their work and money and effort and time into these people that are not genuine. And I feel like they're having that realization. And that's why they're going into this Four of Swords, where, they may not be dealing with anybody. They may be taking this time just to themselves to become more independent, get to know themselves better, so that they can come back to you, if not fully, probably not fully, because I don't feel like any of us really fully heal. Like, we are in a constant state of healing, because nobody is perfect. Nobody will ever be perfect. We're human, right? We're stardust having a human experience. Okay? Life is a learning experience, and you're never done learning. Because like I said, no one person knows everything. So, I feel like they're currently in this Four of Swords energy where they've distanced themselves from these toxic people, working on themselves internally, healing the things that made them feel like they needed the other people's opinions, that, they let other people fully, like, influence them instead of acting out of their own authenticity. And again, this healing, a part of that will also be them, working on their finances, their relationship with money. Maybe they're going to start saving, putting money aside, so that, you guys can work towards this home together, building that stability with each other. I get that they will, they will come towards you. They will open up. And it's up to you whether to accept that apology, whether to move forward with them or not. You have to really use your discernment, utilize your intuition when it comes to really evaluating the situation when they do come forward, and figuring out whether they're being genuine or not, and whether you should move forward with them or not, and accept that apology, and maybe wipe the slate clean. Gosh darn dyslexia. Just start over and build something together. Get to know each other deeper, right? Because at this point, they know it is no longer a question. And that could have also been something else that was holding them back, trauma from past relationships. This may have felt too good to be true to them. So they look to others for advice, because maybe they didn't trust themselves to make this sort of decision because of their decisions in the past when it comes to love. But I feel like, they're working on trusting themselves, building a healthier relationship with themselves so they can build a healthier relationship with you. And, they're just working on their life, becoming more independent. Because I feel like they also were very codependent in a lot of ways, not just emotionally. But, yeah. So, Aries, these are the messages that I have for you today. And I do hope they serve you well. Be gentle with yourselves. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye now.